book is actually written in two parts, as you'll all see. The first part really tells the Holocaust story, the story of survival of Eva and her family, her parents, her aunt. The second half picks up when Larry and Eva meet and goes through their whole life, really, from that point on. So obviously, Larry and Eva were a major source for the second part of the story, although I did speak to some of their family and friends and filled in some gaps there as well, so thank you to anybody who contributed to that. The first half was a little trickier, because Eva, although she did tell me the story and she recalled everything that she could, she was a little girl during the war, and she was 3 years old, really, when the majority of this was happening. And so it was in our second meeting where I said to Larry, hey, did anybody in your family ever write any of this down? His in-laws had passed long ago at this point. Is there any historical record of this? And he said, oh, yeah, I think my father-in-law did an interview for Spielberg. I said, oh, that's useful information, thanks. So he put me in touch with his cousin in Israel, Mark Goldberg, who sent me the recording that his father-in-law, Lutzi, had done with the Shoah Foundation. It was a project of Steven Spielberg's foundation to interview survivors and witnesses of the Holocaust. I think mostly in the 1990s. They interviewed about 52,000 of these people. And so I was able to get a 2.5-hour interview that Lutzi had done and hear his entire story from him. And that was absolutely invaluable. Mark also sent me an interview that his mother had done, who was Lutzi's sister, Muncie, and her story really intertwined with particularly Olga and Eva's story. And so I was able to get a lot of details there as well. So we felt like, okay, we really can tell this story, but it still felt like something was missing because, the family split, as you'll see in the book. Lutzi was taken to a series of concentration camps, and Olga was in hiding by a brave Catholic couple with Eva. And so, they didn't really know what was going on with the other one at that point. And so we filled in some of the gaps with Muncie, but what was Olga doing, right? And so really it was a couple of months into this already when I was Googling around thinking, okay, there has to be something else out there. And I came upon an oral history interview that Olga had done in the 1980s that somebody had then, the interviewer, I guess, had then donated to a Holocaust museum. And the interview was online. It was like an 1.5-hour long recording of her telling her story. The audio wasn't great, but it was enough for me to be able to hear the details and kind of put all of these pieces together. So with those things all combined, that really was how we were able to tell this story.